Hey there, it is Kimmy. So I am doing a video for you today because I had to make a whole bunch of cards and I decided to try out these pretty alloys from Tim Holtz. These are a new product. They're called an alloy, and I'm going to be using the sterling and the gilded and the statue. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that, and I'm going to use 3 different papers, and I'm going to show you just how the alloys and alcohol inks mix on different papers, and the colors just turn out so beautifully. All right, so I'm going to show you how I did it and how I got it to look all kind of marbly and like a galaxy. So I'm going to show you first on just glossy, normal glossy paper, okay? And so I want you to make sure that you're in a room that's well ventilated when you're using alcohol inks because they are very smelly. All right, and we're gonna use a straw today, and you wanna be careful to try not to breathe in a lot of the alcohol ink and the fumes, so do your absolute best. And if you see my head in the camera view, I'm sorry. I'm going to try as hard as I can to keep my head out of there, but in case, you might see some of my hair. All right. So this first card, I'm going to use alcohol inks in Mountain Rose, Terracotta, and Mermaid. Okay, so I'm gonna just give those a little shake. You don't really have to with the alcohol inks, but you definitely have to shake. With the alloys, you can hear that little metal ball that's in the bottom, and it needs to be able to move around and really mix the alloy together. Okay, so I'm gonna start with rubbing alcohol, and I'm just gonna spray rubbing alcohol right onto my cardstock. And I do this so that it's nice and wet. You can see how wet it is. And then I'm going to take my inks and I'm going to start to just put some drips on there. And I'm going to do 2 colors to start with. And then now I'm going to use my straw and I'm going to blow. So I want to try and take the breath away from the ink and then keep blowing in. So I'm going to add some more of the rubbing alcohol. You can see how it reacts. And then now I'm going to add the lightest color there. That was Mountain Rose, filling in kind of all of the spots here. And the key really is timing. You want to be quick with this so that it doesn't soak into your cardstock too long. And now I'm going to add some alcohol blending solution onto my page as well. And then this is where I'm going to now add the alloy. And alloys go really far, so you don't have to add too much. But it's that blending solution that helps the alloy to really move around. So then I'm just going to add a little bit more blending solution. I'm going to add a little bit of my lightest color. I just want to fill in any of my white spots there. Okay, so I'm going to just come over here. There's a little bit of a white spot there. And I'm going to add a little bit of the darker one. Kind of move it around, and just a little bit over here to get that white spot. Now I can take a look at it and decide if I want some more alloy, like I feel like I need some more over here. I'm going to just add a little bit more blending solution. And just kind of move that around. And I think I want just a little bit right there. So isn't it just beautiful how it, how the blending solution just helps. So I hope you can see this really well on the camera, how I've got like these edges with the alloys. And so they work differently than the mixatives in that they really do, these alloys really do separate. They're quite stunning, quite beautiful. I hope you can see how gorgeous that is. So that was on glossy paper and super pretty. I'm going to set that one aside, and I'm going to just put the lids on my ink. And here's a little trick if you haven't seen me do this before. I take my alcohol ink and I just put a little dab onto a piece of glossy paper. I let it dry. Then I use a hole puncher, punch that out, and glue it to the top of my lid so that when all of my inks are sitting in a container, kind of like this, which is super messy, whoops, you can see the tops of the lids and you can see the colors. Okay. All right, and there is my alloy. So that was our first one, super pretty. So this one that we're gonna do next is with a, it's a glossy paper, but it's actually a matte glossy. So it doesn't have that high gloss sheen. It's a low matte. It's not regular cardstock. It still has a bit of a gloss. It's just a low matte, okay? So I'm gonna do the same thing as before. I'm gonna spray it and really get it wet with my rubbing alcohol, and I actually probably should have had the lids off of my inks first. Kind of got excited there. All right, and then I'm going to drop my colors onto my card, and I'm going to go with my darkest colors to start with for this one, and blow. So we don't want sorry, no, it's like talking and blowing there. We don't want a lot of polka dots, and so that's why I spray it with the rubbing alcohol first so that I get a nice saturated base, and then the inks just move around so much better. Now this time I'm going to use the sterling alloy and give that another little shake. And I'm going to take the rubbing alcohol, and the blending solution, and I'm going to drop it on in a bunch of places. And this time I'm going to show you what it looks like when I do the pink and the alloy at the same time. Because hey, why not, right? Alcohol inks are so much fun because you can play with them, and there really is no wrong. I'm going to move that around because I've got a puddle of ink over here. Whoops. I'm really trying to do it from the sideways, so I hope it's working so that my head's not in the camera. I'm going to add just a little bit of the alloy over here. And see how it wasn't quite as wet? So it didn't move quite as far as it does as when I add a little bit of the blending solution and then the alloy. And I get lots of movement with it. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to add just a little bit of purple in over here. It's still pretty wet. So pretty. And I'm feeling like there's too much silver right there. So while it's still wet, I'm going to add just a little bit of blue. Oh, I like it. I really like it. Isn't that gorgeous? So that was on the low matte. The low matte cardstock. Okay, there we go. So I'll set that one aside. And then the last one we're going to do is on vellum. And this is actually an experiment for me. I haven't done it on vellum yet, so I don't know how it's going to turn out or not turn out. One thing I do know about vellum is that it is thinner, so it'll curl. So I'm actually going to take just a little piece of double-sided sticky tape, sequin tape, and I'm going to stick it to my paper towel. And I'm just going to hold that paper down so that I can do this. Okay, so the last combination of colors I'm going to use the gilded alloy, and I'm going to use stonewash and meadow and juniper. Okay, so I'm going to do my exact same technique as before. I'm going to open up my lids this time. I'm learning. Here's another little trick with alcohol inks, because lots of times they'll get ink in here and then it's really dry and hard to open up. So I just keep one of these little bottle openers in my container with my inks, and then that way I can just, if I need to, I can just slip it on here and just yank to try and twist that lid off if it's kind of crusty in there. Little tip for you. Okay, so here we go with our last one. Same technique. I'm going to spray a whole bunch of the rubbing alcohol on there. And then I'm going to add the color, and I like starting with my darkest colors, but you can experiment and have fun and play with your colors and see what you got. I got a lot on there. One thing I notice about the vellum is there's a lot of movement, hey? Wow, that looks really great. I really love it. Okay, so I used the blue and the meadow, so now I'm going to use some of the juniper. And it's still pretty wet, so I'm going to just add it and see what it does. Yeah, very pretty. I'm going to add some more blue over here. Okay, and then now I'm going to add my gilded color. Oh, actually, sorry. I need to add the blending solution first. Almost forgot. Kind of pours out, so try and put it in the places where you're going to put your gilded alloy. Again, sorry for my head. I'm pretty sure my head was in there. Okay, I love it. Wow, love it, love it. I'm going to add just a little bit of blue over here. Very soft touch when I'm blowing, just so that it doesn't separate too much. I want to keep some blue in there, and then right here. Soft blow so that, yeah, it just stays nice and blue. It doesn't go out too much. Oh, look at that. Neat. And it's neat how it's still mixing and kind of adding with the color. So I'm going to go from this side. Push some of that that alloy back up top there. And I know this is taped down, but I'm going to just kind of pull that up and roll away some of the ink from that edge too. So there you go. That was on vellum. I really love that. I'll be definitely using that one again. Okay, so I just wanted to show you just a couple more color combinations that I've been doing. So some beautiful purples, pinks, and I used the silver alloy. And this one here, I actually had a shimmer cardstock, and I wasn't sure if it would work or not, and it worked. I didn't get the same amount of blending, but it still looks pretty cool in behind there. I definitely love this color combination. This is Mountain Rose and Raisin with the gold alloy. Love that one. And that was on a glossy paper. This was also on a glossy paper. This was one of my first tries as I was experimenting with it. And then this one is that Mountain Rose with silver this time and some espresso. And then the last one to show you, love this one. And this was the terracotta with amethyst. And this was the statue alloy with this one. So anyways, lots of fun color combinations, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that you're inspired to try some fantastic alcohol ink and alloy cards today. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos on my YouTube channel.